We're live. Good afternoon, folks. This is Jim Hodson here at Cowtown Aerocrafters at Prop Wash and Justin. We're here today with Gerry Asher. Hi, Gerry. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Jim. How are you?
Good. So we're here to do an update on the YF-16. We haven't been out here for a while, and we thought you might like to give us a little rundown on what's been going on with the airframe.
Well, the biggest thing I got to say right up front is that externally, you're not going to see much progress. For what we did during the summer, basically was getting the exterior prepped, and that's mostly because the weather most of the time was just too doggone hot to paint.
Right, yeah.
And the paint was going to go off just about in the gun, and you'd end up with a sandpaper finish, and obviously that's the last thing we're looking for on this. So we've got the exterior pretty much prepped. Dave Anderson has been a big help coming up on his Thursdays up here with us most of the way through the summer and into the fall, getting stuff prepped, doing some of the ugly work. So the external coat is basically the first coat of white is on, and it's been sanded, and it's ready for the second coat, the final white on the whole fuselage. We'll do that first.
But it is the same white, right?
The same exact white,
Okay.
yeah. Just we put down the base coat, and just to find any other irregularities that didn't show up in the primer stage. And there was quite a few of them. As you can see, looking at the nose in particular, they did a heck of a job mocking this thing up, but even as meticulous as they were, if you look close, you can see where I went back with putty, glazing putty, and you can see little pinholes, divots, craters that had to be fixed. Some of that is bugs and other stuff, but so wherever the filler remainder is where just stuff that had to be filled in that just
That's what
obvious.
The freckles are all about, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Trying to make those all go away. So I think we got most of it nailed down.
Hold on here just a second. Hey, Roberto, if you've got good sound with us today, will you give me thumbs up, please? Thanks. So we did a lot of that at surface stuff, and now my understanding, because we got to go back and pick up from where we left off, and maybe even before that, is the paint we're using has been provided to us by PPG. Is that correct?
That's correct. Another issue that we've got right now is that as hot as it was this past summer, even with the insulated spaces that we have in the shop back there where the paint was stored, the catalyst got warm enough that it basically cooked off by
really?
itself.
Okay.
Yeah. There's still residue on the floor back there that we haven't chipped off yet. But yeah, so we're looking to probably end up getting some new catalyst to replace the stuff that cooked.
Oh, wow.
Lanny's already talking to his distributor just in case, but I hate to just throw this out there right now, but if PPG could cough up some more catalyst, that would be marvelous. So I'll just leave that out there.
Okay, we're back. Well, we'll have Kevin Renshaw ask them about that then, because he wanted to make sure I mentioned that we mentioned that PPG is helping us with this and also with the transparency.
Yeah,
so.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the canopy. That's going to be the cat's meow on this thing. And once we get a clear canopy on it, then there's no sense in not doing a full cockpit in it.
Right. No, absolutely.
Takes, so. And
this may not be finished by the time we're ready to dedicate. I know some people may have seen it recently on the website, but YF-16 number 1 had its 50th anniversary of first flight a couple of weeks ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
And this airplane's first flight was on May 9th of 74. So we're looking at doing dedication on, I believe it would be May 11th is a Saturday next year. And we're looking at doing the dedication then. So. Well,
we're certainly going to do our best we can to meet that deadline, but it's always a project of one day at a time, and just do our best to see how things go and go from there.
So what else do you want to show them on the airplane itself, or do you want to show them the magical stuff you've been doing in the duct?
Yeah, as far as anything else externally, there's nothing really to look at here. Dave, again, like I said, coming up here doing his volunteer stint, has replaced most of the nut plates back around the access for the horizontal stabilizers. To get those panels, because they're going to come on and off in the process of moving the airplane. So he really did a good job getting a lot of that stuff done and coming up with the other hardware.
Well, let's show them this other thing that you've been playing with over here.
So looking at the other museum aircraft and walking around, I noticed that a lot of them had a photograph of the front of the engine. And that was it, basically an actual size photo stuffed in the inlet. And I looked at that. And I just, I give it an A for effort, but for this airplane being the centerpiece of the collection, I really wanted to do something more. So I ended up finding pictures of an F-100 engine online, and this is basically what I had for reference.
Okay.
And then I also have a son that works as a parts inspector down at Pratt & Whitney in Columbus, Georgia, so I had him give me a blade count and an IGV count so I knew what I was working with. So then the next step was to map the whole thing out and figure out how I was going to build the silly thing. So there was a little bit of math involved.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So not as much trial and error as we may have thought. Huh?
Not quite, no. It's still more art than science, but yeah, I did a fair amount of ciphering to make sure I was at least in the ballpark. So this is the inlet facade that I've basically come up with a lot of scrap aluminum. It's 25 thousandths. We've got several sheets of it that Laney had gotten from somewhere, I don't know where, but it'd been water damaged.
Okay.
So it had some surface use, which is structurally for what we're doing, it's perfect. So that's what I mocked most of it up out of. The hub is actually a 3-blade propeller spinner. It looked like it probably came off of something like a Cessna 421 or something of that regard.
Oh, so you didn't build that part of it?
No, I didn't build this part. I did fill the holes. If you look, you can still see a little bit of where
sure.
I did some Bondo. I didn't go
Sure.
crazy trying to smooth it out because being 15 feet down the inlet, you weren't going to get that close to it anyway. So I got it in the ballpark, and then the dome actually is a stainless steel bowl, mixing bowl, complements an Ace Mart restaurant supply. I think I spent, I don't know, 12, 13 bucks on that. I got my first attempt at playing with an English wheel, taking the flat bottom out of it and toning down the flange, the lip that the thing had. So I'm fairly pleased with that.
So in all the time you've been working on airplanes, you've never worked with an English wheel?
This was my first play with an English wheel, yeah.
So,
actually, I've done more sheet metal work in the past 2 years up here at Cowtown Aerocrafters, and particularly on the F-16, than I did in my entire career at American Airlines, Eastern Airlines, and the Air Force combined.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some people out here who are not familiar with what an English wheel is. Why don't you explain that a little bit?
Well, we can go back here and look at it.
Okay.
It's basically a 2-roller setup, and one roller has a flat surface like a big wide, like a steamroller or road grader, whatever you want to call it, for finishing stuff. And then the bottom wheel here has a variety of options. This is the most acute angle on the thing, but these basically swap out. And you've got the wheel here to adjust the tension on the metal that you're trying to turn. So basically what I started out with that wheel was with a gap and then working the thing back and forth until it got really loose, and then I'd crank a little bit more and you roll it some more, and it's
So are you
a
just
lot of an art form rather than science.
are you rolling it
involved.
back and forth, or is the thing moving in like a
it's-
hammer?
These are just, it's a static, there's no power to it or anything.
Oh,
So
okay.
You're basically rolling the metal back and forth that you're shaping.
Okay, based on the shape that you've got on the
Right.
device there. Okay.
And I was actually using this roller because it had the most acute angle and gave me the most play with it. We're rolling stainless steel. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a heck of a lot different experience than rolling aluminum, just because it's the temper in it and everything's so much different. But I was pretty pleased with how much of the lip I actually eliminated in the thing and got it to smooth out.
Well, it looks really nice.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
It's actually a lot of fun doing. I've had a ball working on this thing.
I think for anybody who has looked at the site for the announcement on this, I had one of the pictures you sent of down the duct, and anybody from the front of this is going to be hard pressed to not know it's not a real intake on it.
Yeah,
So.
I made it a point after I got it stuffed in there. I sent the picture to a couple of buddies who had careers in F-16s as pilots,
Okay.
and they were enamored with it to the point. I mean, they couldn't tell the difference between that and the photo of the actual thing. So
Now, what are we going to do with the back end?
Right now, I would like the opportunity to probably do something similar. I need some pictures of what it looks like up the exhaust on an F-16, but I can make it happen. The only issue is it's not going to be as deep as the actual
Sure.
exhaust, so it'll be
Sure.
like right there at the end of the exhaust nozzle, however big that piece is.
Well, I've reminded many times when I saw this a comment that you made a long time ago, and there's no kill like overkill.
Yeah.
So we went from originally where what we had done with the 111 was just to paint blades on a flat surface.
Uh-huh.
And looking far enough down the duct, it looks like there's an engine there, but this is well beyond that. Well beyond that. How many hours do you think you have on putting on it?
Somebody else asked me that, and I can't be sure. I'd probably say in the neighborhood of between less than 50 hours. I'd
Okay.
say 25 to 30 hours, maybe 35.
And how much of that was the planning process here that you've shown us?
That's probably not counting that. That was
Okay.
probably another 3 or 4 hours anyway on top of it.
Okay.
Just to map that.
Okay. So after that, though, you had a go-by, and you were able to kind of fabricate it from there.
Yeah, and I'm convinced, I'll open my big mouth and stick my foot in it, but I'm convinced I could probably do it with just about any other engine facade that we want to do. Now that I know what I'm doing with this, it's
Right.
just a matter of scaling it up or down to fake it.
Be careful. This is
Yeah.
not.
I know.
This is now historical. So, now what color are those is the blades going to be?
I think that's going to be the finished product. I did we had a can of Krylon in here, bright silver I think it was, and I sprayed it all that, and it was a little too bright for me. I ended up burnishing it all with Scotch Brite, and it
Okay.
toned it down some. And then I used some kind of Rust-Oleum.
Oh, Rust-Oleum, okay.
A steel primer paint mix combination on the thing, and I may go back with that same steel and do the whole thing.
Well, I'll tell you what. Can we get you to take it to the back, and I'll go in the front, and we'll watch you just plug it in, and so people can look down the duct and see what it looks
we can
like.
try that.
Okay.
If you want to take a couple of minutes to kill. What's
Yeah,
up?
sure. I mean, this is the update. This is the update on this. We haven't done one in a while, and this is a good update. So,
I'll need a hand, if you can hand it up to me once I get
Okay.
across here, and then you can walk around front and,
all right, I'm behind you all the way. I'm going to show them what it looks like empty first.
okay?
Okay, so here is the duct as it is right now, looking straight down the duct.
Actually, I can probably set it up in there myself.
Can you?
So stand by.
Okay.
All right, stay. Here we go. Okay. I've got this marked for 12 o'clock, so I gotta find my spot here. That's 6. Okay. Pay no attention to all the banging noises.
That's okay. As long as you don't trap yourself in there.
I don't know if you've got a way to light that thing up, because once I stuff it in there, it's going to get dark.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
All right. There's my 12 o'clock. So here we go.
Yeah, we can just about see it. Let me. Well, it's a little dark, but people can see it. That'll be good enough.
There we go.
Okay, and how far into the bay is that? Let's see. I'm coming around to the back. Gonna get your better side. So we're in there. What, about 15 feet, 12 feet,
I think, well, this is probably about
maybe 10.
10, a little over 10 feet. Yeah, and I think you're roughly 15 feet, 16
Okay.
down the inlet.
So is that just a press fit into there?
Yeah, for right now, I've got it marked to pick up holes on the inlet flange.
Okay.
To drill up and put some mount bolts through it, like 8 places, so it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's the real attention to detail, and since this is going to be one of the iconic pieces of the museum, it's just going to make it that much better.
Like I said, it's been a lot of fun working on it. I'm happy to have the opportunity.
Well, it's not everybody can say they have an F-16 in their in
No,
their hangar.
and it's drawn some second glances and screeching brake stops kind of thing. We
I'll
had
bet.
one guy come in a couple of months ago, and he used some Bulgarian in the process, but is this a blankety blank F-16? And Lanny told him, no, it's just an F-16.
Very good, perfect. Well, I tell you what, we're getting down towards our 20-minute mark here, and we'll get people get a view of the airplane from the back. You really can see the contours and the lines on the fuselage. It's really impressive. And I know the guys are still working at the museum on the tail, and some of the other pieces. They were out there working this morning. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
Good deal.
So, anything else you'd like to add for today?
No, not that I can think of. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
There we go. There we go. Well, we hope everybody has a good holiday season. And so from here at Cowtown Aerocrafters and Gerry Asher and myself, Jim Hodson, we'd like to thank you for tuning in today. And we'll catch up with you again with an update before long. We got a couple of announcements. Tomorrow's the 17th of December, which is the anniversary of the Wright brothers' first flight.
That's right.
And an organization here locally, a group led by Charles Cook from Flying Oaks Airport, is starting up a streaming service that's called Aeroverse. Right. And it starts tomorrow, and it's going to be 24/7 aviation all around the world, all different aspects. And so folks may want to take a look at that and see what they think of that. And we'll be doing our first flight day and wings award January 13th at Meacham at the airport. And Jerry's going to be providing some lucky person with a ride in our bird dog.
And I hope I don't scare him too bad.
No, not at all. He doesn't scare me at all, but I haven't ridden with him yet either. So, okay, so for now, happy holidays, folks, and thanks for joining us today.
for
Thanks,
watching.
Jerry.